welcome to the 2025 RBC Heritage at Harbortown Golf Links in Hilton Head, South Carolina. After the roller coaster ride at the Masters last week, this week at Harbortown was also packed full of excitement, especially for the gearheads. Not only did we see unexpected putter switches and brand new mini drivers, but we also went deep on equipment with two of the most prolific club testers on the PGA Tour, Denny McCarthy and Kirk. We'll get to all that throughout the video. First, let's check out some of the custom Masters gear that PGA Tour players were still using at the RBC Heritage this week, including custom Masters-inspired staff bags and head covers from the likes of Collin Morikawa, Xander Schauffele, Tommy Fleetwood, Matt Fitzpatrick, and Minwoo Lee. Underneath Minwoo's head covers, we spotted him with a Callaway Elite mini driver in the bag. Some are now calling him Mini Woo Lee, but on his head cover, he writes Mini Sous Chef. In other Callaway wood news, we also spotted this show-stopping 2-wood prototype in the bag of Akshay Bhatia. It's one of only two in existence, and according to Callaway insiders, it was part of Phil Mickelson's stash over 5 years ago. Akshay's caddy says he's finding the 2-wood to be a beast off the tee, but it's also easy to launch off the turf. In TaylorMade wood news, the company announced the return of a truly classic name as they launched a brand new R7 quad mini driver to the public, and PGA Tour players got their first looks at the new weapon this week. We got our own first-hand look at the club, and trust me, the nostalgia was hitting hard. Tommy Fleetwood spent a few long-range sessions with the R7 quad getting the proper fit and dialing in the 4 sole weights with fitter Adrian Rietveld. We talked to Tommy and Adrian about their experiences with the R7 quad this week.
So I'd say it's just different options and getting the visual, the lie, how it sits, and then what you can do, the accessibility to do that with weights. The burner's just the head. Well, it's got a weight in it, right?
Just front and back.
It's got front and back, but R7 got four weights in that. So.
Tommy wanted to see more love, so I gave it to him, and then it spun too much, but then with the weight, 26 grams of weight. Yeah. The thing was like 2,800. It was almost too hot, so I had to take one of the weights and get it back again. Yeah. Kind of somewhere in between the two.
Is it about the same off the deck? I was watching Carl Phillips hit it off the deck. He was getting it up there, and it was rocking.
Yeah, well, think about it. If someone wants to balance out where they hit it off the tee and the deck, you can actually fit them into a little more loft, which will actually help them off the deck, because you can dial in the spin with the weights. Mm-hmm. So you kind of, that sole profile and that stuff, I think it's going to be very similar. It's just if you want to fit somebody into more loft or less loft, depending on what they want to see. It's been nice, it's been great. It's nice clean head. Yeah. Clean head sits, I actually think the visual of it actually looks a little flat, which, for a fairway, you never want to see a fairway with sitting toe up or anything like that, because you're going to hit it off the deck, then you're going to hit it off the tee. So I kind of like that about it. And ball speeds are same like for like. You're not giving up anything there. You just maybe gain a little through the launch characteristics if you feel like you want to find something. Cool. Yeah, no, great.
Is there anyone like surprising that might be throwing it in? I know Adam Scott checked it out, kind of. Justin Rose checked it out,
If
kind of.
Adam Scott hits it on the course like he hit it in that test session, I'd be shocked if he doesn't play it.
Yeah.
You know, Carl Phillips is. I mean, he's like a 180 plus ball speed guy, and you know, this type of golf course. Coming into Hilton Head, you know, guys are not turning up until kind of late Monday, so you get a day of testing out of it. I think, you know, giving it a few more days, you know, you've got JT using it, Ricky, I mean, a lot of guys who's playing the TaylorMade mini driver. You know, you kind of want to check in with everybody and give everybody like ample time and fitting, and that'll come. It's a good product.
We also watched along as young Carl Phillips tried out the R7 quad off the tee and off the deck. And then we caught up with him afterwards to get his first-hand review.
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, I'm going to be using that as my main driver this week. It's great. I mean, it's got like 178 ball speed, flies about 295, 300. It's awesome. I just tried hitting it off the ground for the first time, and it's like 280 in the air, launching higher than I thought it would. Yeah, it's great. It's getting about 3,200 spin, which is what I'm looking for, and I'm not losing too much distance. And it's straighter than what I was hitting. It was good. I think it was apexing at about 75 feet, which is obviously higher than a driver off the deck. And it was, you know, I might need it once or twice this week. We'll see. I'm hitting it off most tees out here.
Yeah, I guess he really likes the new R7 Quad Mini. We watched Jason Day get his first look of the R7 Quad Mini. And we also watched along as he did some lie angle testing on his irons this week. Word from on site is that he's switching into X100 iron shafts this week. Following Rory McIlroy's Masters win with a custom torched TaylorMade Spider X putter, we saw two big names making a similar switch. First, Colin Morikawa is likely making the switch into a TaylorMade Spider Tour V-head, and TaylorMade putter rep James Holly gave us some great insight into the switch.
After Augusta, it's pretty tough, right? The greens are tough, and especially if you don't have a great week. You know, they hit the ball pretty well, and they putted okay. They just wanted to test some stuff this week. Colin, being in that blade putter, prefers forward CG. So this week, I think he's going to play Spider V. It's our most forward CG Spider with an L neck, his sight dot, and his specs. So we'll see. He's lining up pretty good. Really like the face angle of that one. We did some other stuff with different spiders, but that one really resonated well with him.
What was the finish that he has on there?
The finish is, it's like an oil can finish, I guess we're kind of calling it. It's pretty close to that gunmetal. Not quite a torch finish, but kind of something special for him that we had to do just to bring the putter out.
So not exactly the same as what Rory has?
Yeah, a little different than Rory.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other testing that you've seen this week? Any switches? I know this is a popular like switching week after Augusta.
Yeah, we did some work with Robert McIntyre. Got him back, I think, into that Spider Tour short slant, that T3 that he won with a couple of times last year, so that was good. That work with Tommy and then Colin were kind of filled up the most part of it. Checked in with Harmon again, which was good. He's still liking his putter. So
was McIntyre testing like a center shafted Spider as well?
No, I brought kind of the full range of that Spider Tour. So I had like a double bend, I had a single bend, cut a little short to get like 15 degrees of toe hang. I had a X1, which was a Spider X L neck, and then that short slant in the Tour, which he's had so much success with. Kind of felt at home for him, and really matched up well with his stroke. I had a ZT out, but we didn't even really putt with it. That, you know, short slant Tour was pretty good.
The second name, who's making his second appearance in this week's episode, is Tommy Fleetwood. He was testing out a wild Spider prototype with Sharpie lines drawn on the crown. We spoke with both Fleetwood and Holly for more insight on the custom Spider.
So we're practicing with that, and then we've tried some Spider versions of trying to get the same effect, basically.
Yeah.
Do you remember Scotty had it with the Logan Olsen putter, like little sort of on the top edge?
Yeah.
It's all a similar sort of concept really. So it's just like making the alignment like a really thick sort of stripes.
Okay.
So then just literally just sit and put it down, no line on the ball, and go ahead and hit.
Is this something you're considering using, or is that like a mock testing thing?
It's in the bag tomorrow.
It's in the bag tomorrow, for sure.
It's all a similar thing, but you know, I'm just not lining up a golf ball, so I'll line up the putter instead. When we go big.
Tommy, we started with the ZT, and that ZT we have that kind of top milling on the front with that, and he really liked that top milling, how it kind of framed the ball. You know, he uses his special ball, kind of has that, I don't even know what we really call it, the orange lines kind of create that single path. It's kind of like true path, so that milling kind of lined up well with that when he lines up the ball. So yeah, we took just a regular tour short slant putter that was completely blank, and I pulled out the Sharpie and did my best to kind of draw some stuff on there for him, and he liked it. We brought in a putter the next day that had some of that Scheffler milling lines on it. So we'll see. You know, he's kind of tinkering season right now. So
Coming off a much-needed T12 at the Masters last week, we spotted Max Homa rocking a bucket hat on Wednesday. And of course, we took a look at his clubs too. All right, it's time. Let's get into our deep dives with Denny McCarthy and Kirk, two of professional golf's biggest gearheads.
Hi, I'm Callaway staff player and PGA Tour player Kirk. We're going to go through what's in my bag right now here at the RBC Heritage. Starting at the top of the bag, I've used the AI Smoke Triple Diamond for a little over a year now, and definitely one of my, if not my favorite clubs. I had an amazing year driving the ball last year, and I've just been really, really comfortable with this club. Have started to test the Elite a little bit, but really it's just, I love this one. It's gonna be hard to get it out of the bag. Fairway woods have been a little bit of a work in progress for me. I'm right now testing the Elite Triple Diamond and the 3-wood. Yeah, it's mostly just trying to get the spin rates just dialed in exactly how I want to, and carry numbers, obviously. I think most players would tell you that fairway woods are probably the most difficult clubs in the bag to fit, because they need to be really, really versatile to be able to hit off the ground, to be able to hit off the tee, high, low, draw, phase. You kind of have to be able to do a little bit of everything, and especially the kind of gaps that you have to cover with this next club. So 3-wood for me flies about 270 or so, 265 to 270. And my longest iron, it says 3 on it, but it has a 4-iron shaft. I use a 3-iron head because I like really low offset. So you'll see my 5 through 9 are blades. So I use this as my 4-iron, 23 degrees aloft with a 4-iron shaft. But when you bend a club weaker, it'll take the offset out. So that's why I use this as a 3-iron. This flies 225. So that gap between 225 all the way to 265, 270 can be tough to cover. One thing I'm been working with right now is this Elite Triple Diamond 7-wood. And so I feel like if I sort of hit a trap draw, turn it down, I can hit it somewhere close to 250. But then also, a stock one goes around low 240s, and I can hit the little sort of choke down cuts if I need to hit something 230 to 235. But yeah, it's always kind of a work in progress trying to figure out 7-wood versus 5-wood. They both have their advantages and disadvantages, but you want something that can kind of hit that close to that max number when you need to fly something 250. But then also, if you're not going to quite get there with a 4-iron, you've got to be able to cover that number as well. I'm not incredibly knowledgeable on shafts, but yeah, it's just obviously getting a feel for the weight of it. I typically tend to progress my shaft weights, usually 60 or so in the driver, and then 80 in the 3-wood, and somewhere around 90, 95 in the 5-wood, 7-wood. And then spin rate, launch and spin, so it's a little bit of trial and error just to kind of see what you like. Okay, going on to the irons, I'd already talked about my 3-4 iron. that I use is 225 club, and then the 5 through the 9. I've always really liked blades. I think being a draw player, you know, the CG tends to be a little bit closer to the heel, makes it easier to draw. I love to draw the ball in, you know, 95+% of my shots, but I don't ever want to feel like I'm having to like work to make it turn. I want my swing dynamics in my club to kind of do the work for me, so I almost feel like I can hold it off and it still draws a little bit. And then the bottom, I like a little bit of a duller leading edge, so Kellen Watson, the Callaway truck, he's the one who builds most of my stuff. The leading edge grind on these to get it just a little bit more resistance, so the club doesn't really ever stick on like knockdown shots and that type of thing. And then you'll see my irons all the way through my wedges. The preferred finish for me, I usually get a raw head, and I used to always do it myself. I still do it myself sometimes, but they've started doing it in the truck for me. I use gun bluing, and so it's the same thing that you would use if you were refinishing the barrel of a gun, and it gives this like really nice dull look to it. So you can see, so this is I've got 2 lob wedges here. This is one that I've used for about 2 or 3 weeks, and it keeps that kind of dull finish. This is what it looks like. I haven't even hit this one yet. They made it for me earlier today. So this is what it comes out looking like, and within a week or 2 it'll kind of turn to this. So once it gets to this, it looks kind of like what a rusted wedge would look like, but most of us don't ever use, especially the 60. I'll get a new 60 every month, you know, so I don't ever use one long enough for it to really actually rust. So I just kind of cheat and get a little bit of a head start with this finish, and then it ends up looking like this. But in the wedges, my pitching wedge is 47 degrees. It says 46 on it, but I go 47 and then 51. This one says 50 on it, 51 with these Opus wedges, and then 55 and 60. So I love the wedges. That was the first thing as a Callaway staff player that I really like. I had some actual input and worked with R&D and worked on different grooves, different grinds, what we should do with CG, and so it's been a really cool process. I've really enjoyed doing it, and all the testing that went into it, and the prototypes that they sent me, and various different things I was doing with TrackMan to kind of get it dialed in on, especially on those like, you know, 10, 15, 20, 25 yard pitch shots, dry versus wet conditions, and rough and fairway, all that type of thing, to see what different groove types did to affect spin rates in different conditions. It was a fun process that I really enjoyed, and I'm really happy with the finished product. All right, putter time. This putter I started using at the Cognizant earlier this year, and I've really enjoyed it. The Jailbird AI1 square to square, and like most of my putters that I've used over the years, no sight line, no dot, no nothing. I'm not sure why. I've done a lot of testing to, you know, see what I aim the best, whether it's a dot on the top or a line on the top, and I always kind of end up aiming the putter best with nothing there, which I guess that doesn't make any sense, but it works for me. So, but I've really been happy with this one. As much as any putter I've used in a long time, it just sort of goes where you aim it, you know. So I don't feel like I have to manipulate anything or really work very hard to do that. So, you know, for me, it's just mostly working on my reads, working on my alignment, my speed, and then just kind of let the putter do the rest.
Is that the pressy grip you got on there?
Currently, yeah. Yeah, it's just what felt most comfortable for me. Just picked one of these up and liked it. Bought a couple on Amazon, and yeah, it's been good. It's comfortable, kind of, you know, with the shaft being set in back there, and Odyssey has their own version of this grip, obviously, and but this one's just been comfortable for me so far.
Driver, got the new Ping G440. It It's a little higher launch, higher spin. This is actually, I used to be a pretty high lofted guy. This is actually a 7.5 degree head. I think they said it's at 8 degrees. With higher launch, higher spin, this 8 degree doesn't quite feel like 8 degrees to me. I put a little longer shaft in it. I'm using about a 45.5 inch shaft this year. I've picked up a little distance. Yeah, this club's been great for me. I really like how I've driven it so far this year. Yeah, the duck, so it was a girl, Madison Smith. She passed away from cancer about 1.5 years ago. My parents in Maryland are good friends, family friends with her parents, and I actually just saw them last week. They were at the Masters. Yeah, it's a sad story. She was, diagnosed at age 14, passed away at 16, colon rectal cancer. Her favorite, she was big into golf, really good player herself. Favorite color was yellow. Her favorite thing was a rubber ducky. So I've got it here on my bag. Tremont actually made me some really sweet head covers for last week. And obviously you see the ducky and the ducky outlines here. It's really cool. And it's always nice having this on here. Just a nice reminder that she's there with me. And I always say this, bogeys aren't so important at the end of the day. There's bigger things going on in life. I got the ducky on the back of the bag here too. So the ducky's everywhere. It's a nice reminder, like I said. So yeah, the ducky's gonna stay for a while. 3-wood, I put an older 3-wood in the bag actually a couple weeks ago specifically for Augusta. It's a little longer shaft, a little hotter head. Kind of almost acts like a mini driver for me. I hit it a little farther than the 3-wood I had been using. So some of those holes at Augusta last week, even it works well here, a couple holes. So I started using it in San Antonio. It's a stealth. I don't know exactly what the loft is. I just know it's a hot 3-wood, and I like the sound of it. It kind of sounds like a wooden baseball bat to me. Another sweet head cover. UVA, Go Who's. 5-wood. There's my dog Juno. Colony Hotel. It's where my wife and I had our rehearsal dinner. Dogs are welcome there. So got Juno on the bag. Another sweet head cover. QI10 5-wood. 18 degrees. I think it might be at 19 degrees. Kind of just fits that gap really nicely between my 4-iron and the 3-wood. Been a really good club for me. Going down, Titleist T200 4-iron. This has been a main staple. Even though I've tested multiple 4-irons, this one has been tough to get out of the bag. I've had this for probably almost 3 years now. I really like how it flies. I'm able to hit it really high, can also bring it down, can hit all the little shots with it. Kind of just does everything I want, which is why it's been hard to get out of the bag. These irons I started the year with some Srixon irons, but these Mizuno S3s have been great. I love the bevel on the leading edge. It kind of goes through the ground really nice and clean. Gets in there and gets out of there quickly. They've kind of got a blade look, but more of like a cavity performance, cavity feel. So these things have been great. I don't see them getting out of the bag really anytime soon. So I'm somebody that likes the bevel, the kind of the softness on the leading edge to just a little more friendly going into the turf. It's not so aggressive on my wrists, arms. Sometimes we play some turf conditions where if you have a really sharp leading edge, it can really dig and kind of jolt your arms a little bit, and these kind of soften the blow a little bit, which I like. There's also a little bit of offset. I like looking at a little bit of offset. Some of the newer stuff, newer companies, kind of just straight in, no offset. I like seeing a little offset. So these kind of fit exactly what I'm looking for. The wedges, not much has changed here. SM10. So I have pitching wedge in the set to the Mizuno. And then I go 51 degree SM10, 55.5, 56 M grind, and then I've always just used an L grind, slight modification, a little grind on the back, a little more heel relief. And then obviously the one that everyone probably cares about the most is the trusty Go Low. I've probably got about 10 of these, and I really only travel with 1 or 2. There's there is one main gamer, but there's kind of 2 gamers. I kind of go back and forth between. You would never be able to tell the difference, but me, having used them for almost 15 years, I know the difference. So I have 10 of them, but I really only use like 2 of them. To me, to my eye, I just see something slightly different. If one's not working so great, maybe I'll try out the other one, see how that one's feeling. And now I've been rolling it pretty nice lately, and So this is, I got my first one back in college. I want to say my second year of college back in 2012. And I've used this putter basically for 13 years. So it's obviously it's worked pretty well for me. I know its tendencies really well, and that's important for me. I use a thin tip Sharpie, so I get my line really nice and square, and I draw a shamrock on it. Last name being McCarthy, draw a shamrock on it. My dad's dad kind of got me into the game, so I've drawn the shamrock on it for a while. It's kind of been a staple of mine, and yeah, I like the nice clean cut line. I can't have a squibbly looking line. I need something nice and clean cut. I'm pretty picky. Us golfers are weird. I wouldn't say I'm superstitious, just a little stitious. Michael Scott, The Office. But there you go. That's what's in my bag. It's been pretty consistent lately, and hopefully it stays that way.
Don't forget to check out all of the equipment photos that legendary photographer Greg Moore shot at this week's event. You can find them over at GolfWRX.com in the tour and pre-release forum. Highlighting the photo threads this week was Justin Thomas's full what's in the bag. While JT did have a prototype Scotty Cameron blade in the bag, we confirmed that he'll be using a prototype Scotty Cameron mallet this week. And with that, unfortunately, we have to say goodbye to Harbortown Golf Links and the beautiful Hilton Head Island. We'll see you next week at the Zurich Classic in New Orleans for more Inside the Ropes equipment coverage on the PGA Tour. Enjoy this week's event.